You sit down at your desk with a clear objective, but instead of tackling the most important item on your agenda, you spend 2 hours clearing your inbox, checking messages, or organizing your desk. By 5 o'clock, you are exhausted, yet you've accomplished nothing of substance. The heavy, lingering guilt at the end of the day signals a deeper crisis, the quiet realization that you are no longer in control of your own actions. We operate in an environment saturated with infinite choices and incoming demands. Rather than spurring us into action, the sheer volume overloads our executive function, freezing us in a state of cognitive paralysis. Author Brian Tracy proposes a precise psychological circuit breaker to shatter this freeze state, a concept he calls eating that frog. Your frog is the single looming objective on your list that carries the highest stakes. Because it demands the most effort, it also carries the absolute highest risk of procrastination. True productivity is completely disconnected from the sheer volume of tasks you complete in a day. It relies entirely on the strategic elimination of the right tasks. To begin, you must extract your goals from the chaotic environment of your mind. They need to be locked into a concrete physical blueprint where they can be evaluated objectively. The math of a standard workday guarantees you will never finish every item you write down. Compiling a massive list of intentions is useless without a mechanism to filter them. Apply a ruthless prioritization process to filter out the noise, isolating the activities that generate forward momentum. From those priorities, select your frog based on consequence, the single action where failure carries the most severe penalty, and completing it outweighs everything else combined. Once isolated, that item requires absolute undivided focus. All of your available energy must be directed at this specific target until the task is entirely eradicated. Meticulous planning without aggressive prioritization is merely organized procrastination. Structuring your day on paper is only the external mechanic. The moment you sit down to execute the plan, you collide with your own internal friction. Overcoming this requires self-exploration. You have to brutally assess the personal skill gaps that trigger your hesitation, acknowledging exactly where a lack of confidence causes you to stall. On the flip side, identifying your unique strengths gives you leverage. Leaning into the areas where you naturally excel acts as an accelerator, pushing you through complex assignments much faster. Maintaining peak performance during this process requires 2 mandatory psychological engines running at all times: persistent optimism and self-discipline. Self-discipline acts as an internal operating system. It forces execution and keeps you seated at the desk, regardless of your emotional state or level of motivation on any given morning. The ultimate barrier blocking your highest value work is rarely the complexity of the task itself. The true obstacle is the emotional resistance you bring to the table. Even with a perfect plan and iron discipline, the outside world will intrude. Daily fires and external obligations will actively attempt to derail your progress. You must systematically identify these roadblocks and neutralize them. Leaving them unnamed allows them to function as convenient, recurring excuses for inaction. This introduces the final tactical requirement: seizing absolute sovereign control over your own daily timeline before someone else claims it. The defense strategy is time blocking. Build a fortress around your frog by consolidating your schedule into large, unbroken blocks dedicated strictly to deep work. Enforcing these rigid boundaries keeps trivial demands and minor emergencies bouncing off the perimeter, entirely separate from your focus zones. In a culture optimized to steal your attention, an aggressively defended schedule is the only reliable defense mechanism you have. The moment that massive, intimidating task is conquered, your psychological state shifts. The heavy background pressure dissipates entirely, leaving you with immediate clarity. Operating at this extreme level of productivity secures a very specific reward. It purchases your own autonomy. You draw the blueprint. You prioritize the impact. You override your internal resistance and block the time to act. The hollow exhaustion that used to define 5 o'clock is replaced by a deep, quiet satisfaction. You know precisely what you set out to do, and you executed it. Look at tomorrow's chaos right now. Identify the ugliest frog on the list and devour it before it has the chance to dictate your day.